Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and some of you might be thinking about Gallagher in your account. Maybe you put on Akron or you really like this character and you're thinking, is he worth it to build? In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can use him, what is his niche, and to give you a TLDR, I have quite a number of healers on my account, but I will be building this guy and I do see myself using him. Let me share with you and explain why in a bit. Let me just zoom out on the pixels here real quick. Of course, it's before the official release, so we have to use these pixels that Hoyo Lab has officially put out on the information we have about his kit, and let me do some explaining. His whole entire kit, if any of you who don't really understand what he does, what he's really good for, it revolves around his ultimate ability. His ult, once he has his burst up, he hits an enemy in an AoE fashion, as we can see here with this amazing animation. Then he inflicts the enemies with this debuff called Besotted. I don't know whether it's wine or blood that he's using, but it looks pretty cool. So they are inflicted with this like wine blood debuff that is going on, and every time an ally attacks an enemy in this like wine blood state that they have, they will heal some HP. So think of it very similar to like a Luota kind of style, where your teammates attack and then they kind of like heal up instead. The best part about this, and that's like the first part about Gallagher that is really good, he's one of the only abundance units that will play very well into Akron teams because he lands a debuffs on the enemy. Other characters like preservation units, maybe you can use Trend or Universal Market to get around that, or maybe you're playing with Aventurine. Gallagher is a very solid 4-star alternative if you're just looking for someone to debuff enemies for Akron. I think he's a really good pick and might be worthwhile investing if you're Akron main and you don't have Trend on Universal Market, and you maybe want like some fire break damage at the side too. So that is the first commentary. What I think that this character is really known for and what he's really good for, let me just scroll into here and zoom in real quick, is his tracers are very unique, where he scales with break effect. So traditionally, why you don't want to build your healers with like break effect and stuff like that is firstly, they are not of fire and physical element, which is the best for break effect in terms of the damage that they do. I really like that he's a fire element. He does a ton of break damage. Some of you who have seen Himiko showcases with break effect, you see Argenti showcases with break effect as well. Very high in damage, and that is what's really nice. Not really too expensive because you don't really need like too much of other stats like crit stuff as long as he's like breaking enough. So he scales with outgoing healing, scales with break effect as well, which means the more you stack on break effect, you get a double bonus of him healing more as you do more damage when you break enemies, which is tremendous. And this is going to be very useful in a small domain when it fires very easily. You burst down squishies, for example, like pure fiction game mode as well. So other than that, he moves forward and stuff like that. It's pretty straightforward to know. Some of you might be wondering, you don't see any cleanse here. From what we know, apparently he is going to have a cleanse in his skill at Eidolon 2, and at E6 probably he's going to have weakness, break, efficiency, enhancements, but those are like slightly higher Eidolons to reach. You could pick him up if you get lucky a couple of times and you get him using the 4-star selector. You might get his E2 and eventually get him able to cleanse, so it removes a lot of the downside that he has. Now let's go into the game engine real quick. And the first thing of all, let's talk about whether he's worth it to build. If you go into pure fiction game mode, which I think might be where he's going to be most useful because of his ability like AoE break. If you don't have a character like Himiko for that fire, you could easily swap in a character like Gallagher to do a lot of fire break damage, especially if you're tackling like fire weakness content, or maybe you just put Gallagher and Himiko to clear everything a lot faster as well. Especially since sustain might not be super critical. A character that I can think of that is very similar to Gallagher's playstyle, if maybe you are planning to play him, is a character like Physical MC. Or Fire MC rather. Fire MC in a break effect build will be pseudo similar to Gallagher's entire playstyle, which is very nice because you get a bit of like a bruiser kind of playstyle. The problem with Fire MC is Fire MC doesn't sustain as well. Gallagher probably is able to solo sustain, especially if you have enough speed on him, you have enough energy restoration on him to keep up the uptime on the enemies, the debuff of the Besotted wine and blood thingy. I think those are all really solid options. At this point, the question then becomes, what is he good for in terms of the other healers? As mentioned a little bit, he is very similar to a 4-star Luota, in a sense when the heals are done offensively, your characters attack, then they heal. He doesn't have too much cleanse other than E2, unlike Luota who does a lot of like healing outside of that. To remove debuffs, you have to use skill points. Otherwise, he won't really be offering much outside of his ultimate ability when he slashes at everyone Gallagher to get a lot of fire break damage. So similar to Luota in a sense, very similar in my opinion to a playstyle similar to a fire MC in terms of a bruiser kind of style of fire MC. So you use your ult on fire MC, you try to break as much characters and have a lot of more sustain. Best part about it is I think it works very well with a character like Akron. I'm just using Zila as a placeholder here. For those of you who maybe don't have preservation units with the trend of using universal market here, this light cone, then in that case, you will be missing out a bit of debuffs from your sustain slot. Gallagher is a very, very cheap way of addressing that. And technically, everyone can get Gallagher. He's going to be free on the banner because you can just pick it out from the 4-star selector that's going on in version 2.1. That is a very good alternative. So don't stress yourself if you don't have trend of universal market. Everyone's going to be talking about this. But no, you don't really need to use this. There are many, many other ways as well. And Gallagher is a solid option as well. Other than that, he plays very well into unique team compositions that have never been played too much before, and that probably will be break effect team compositions together with Runmei. I think Gallagher is one of the only units. Very few units have weakness break efficiency enhancement, other than I think Xue maybe has it as well. But Runmei together with Gallagher at E6 could be very interesting. A Gallagher E6 of course, not Runmei E6. With Runmei's ability to weakness break enhance, weakness break efficiency increase, together with Gallagher's E6 ability to increase that even further, his ult might just immediately burst down all the squishies, which will make him a good alternative for team compositions that don't want to use a fire erudition character. You straight away just like burst down all the squishies and then you go for a hunt, eliminating what's left, which could be interesting in a hunt team as well if you think about it. Last but not least, of course, I want to say something that is going to be quite interesting to know. I think that Gallagher plays into team compositions that are centered around speed. Because he's a character unlike Luota that skills off with his speed. He wants more speed to gain more energy, more burst cost. He wants speed so that he can land the debuff on the enemies. And the faster your teammates attack, not only does Gallagher get more energy for the next cycle of his outburst, but also you get to heal more because the debuff on the enemy is counted on the enemy turns and not your own turns. So speed manipulating teams like Aster together with Welt, I think is really solid. If you're playing an Aster-Welt combo into any of the main DPS like Dr. Ratio for example, it could be quite interesting with Gallagher on the team. It might be pretty fun too. And those are my thoughts for Gallagher in the game currently. If you guys are interested, leave a comment below. I'm thinking of whether I want to do more content on him now, or whether if anyone is like interested in him at all. Hopefully this quick narration is able to sell you a bit of Gallagher, and I personally will be building him. I want to play him with Akron. Looks like a really solid unit. Sometimes I just really want a little bit more damage for my sustain and not have it in a 5-star format. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching again, and see you in the next video.